Money.
Dinero.
Argent.
Geld.
Dinheiro.
Penize.
Pieniądze.
Trochę.
Soldi.
Pieniądze.
Bani.
Para.
Do you really know what your money is doing to the world? Humanity produces more waste than our planet can bear. By producing energy, we waste so many natural resources that soon we are going to run out of them. Factories, production plants and transportation pollute our air and water to an extent that our planet will soon not be able to recover from it. Companies kill and torture animals by testing products on them in order to make a bigger profit. Others pay their workers barely any money for hours and hours of work, or even employ children. And last but not least, some companies make profits from war by selling arms and weapons. Do you know how you can help? For all these problems, there are many different solutions, but there is one simple thing you can change to make the world a better place: your bank. Reconsider your financial institution. It is you who enables the bank to work. Many people trust banks with their money and only care about interest rates, without considering the impact that their savings have on the environment and our society. But how are banks connected to social issues and damage done to the environment? And what are they doing with your money? To understand this connection, we will first explain the banking system. Imagine you saved up some money that you want to keep in a safe place until you need it. What do you do with it? Well, most people put it in a savings account at a big bank to keep it secure and even make a little more money at the same time. After a couple of years, you decide it's time to get that money back. You take it out and additionally get some more money, your interest. But where is that money coming from? You are not the only person giving money to the bank to keep it safe. Many different people place deposits in a bank. The bank then has a big pool of money to work with and to make more of it. When people get their money back again, they get additional money, the interest. There are different ways for the bank to use your money to make more of it. One of them is lending the money to another person that needs it at that moment, for example, to build a house. But borrowing that money costs something. So when that person returns it, they give some extra money to the bank for lending it to them, just like you receive extra money for lending yours to the bank. Now, the bank doesn't only give loans to individuals, it can also lend money to governments. The way this works is by financial institutions buying government bonds. With that money, the government can then finance projects like public schools and hospitals, and also the military. A lot of money also goes to paying back interest rates for bonds. Some of the money might be paid to smaller or bigger companies in the form of subsidies. This way, the money you and other people put into the bank is going places far beyond your imagination. Besides giving loans to individuals and governments, there is a third party that banks lend lots of money to: companies. All kinds of companies in the private sector borrow huge amounts of money each year from banks, either by giving them loans or investing in shares or bonds of the company. Depending on the type of company, the money is used for different things. It could go to a bakery or a flower shop, but it could also be a company in the arms industry. In 2013, almost 300 financial institutions from around the world invested €235 billion in the nuclear weapons industry. Other major banks invest money in one of the world's biggest mining companies. In one of their mines on a big island state in Oceania, severe environmental damages were reported. Other big European banks from France and the Netherlands invested more than €30 million in an aerospace company that also produces cluster munitions and is the largest supplier of depleted uranium munitions. Some of Europe's biggest banks have invested billions of euros in large energy companies, which are responsible for large greenhouse gas emissions, therefore contributing greatly to climate change. Invested money has an impact on so many different levels, on an economic, environmental and social scale. Most commercial banks only care about the first one. Maybe now you know more about the commercial banking system. Do you still trust your bank, or do you want to change something? Our world and its resources are limited, and we must take care of it. And believe it or not, our small decisions can cause great damages to our planet. Carrying out sustainable actions in your investments will not change the world, but you can help create a better one. It is always your choice where you put and save your money. So we will show you some alternatives to commercial banks. Microcredits are part of microfinance offer savings accounts and provide a wider range of financial services. They specialise in very small loans to people in developing countries that wouldn't otherwise get a loan, therefore helping them to build a basis for their life. Then there are also cooperative banks that hold deposits, provide loans and other financial services to cooperatives and member-owned organisations. What is special about cooperatives is that the customers are also the owners. Another alternative is ethical banks. These are banks concerned with the social and environmental impact of their investments. They focus on making social and environmental practices, choosing very carefully which project or company they want to finance, laying a great emphasis on transparency. Each ethical bank has its own policy and principles, but all of them tend to share some common characteristics like community involvement, sustainable practices, client screening, and consistent internal and external policies. Because of these characteristics, you can see that ethical banking is based on human values, targeting social and sustainable development aimed at a global effect. Transparency, responsibility, participation, honesty and respect are the base for ethical banking. To understand how ethical banks work, first you have to ask yourself this question: do you only want to create financial value? Have you ever thought about the social and environmental value your money could create? There are other returns apart from interest rates, and they are offered by ethical banks. Without losing security and liquidity, you can invest looking for an ethical, social and environmental sustainable yield. The values in which ethical banks invest aren't listed on the stock market, and they are not short-term orientated. Ethical banks look for projects to finance with a positive impact on a social and human level, but not forgetting about a great return on capital invested. It's important to understand that ethical banks are firstly banks. They aren't beneficiary institutions. They need to generate profit. Why? To be able to reinvest, pay interest to their customers, and to have financial profit. Ethical banks work like commercial ones, and as a customer wanting to open a savings account, it works almost like a commercial bank, the only difference being you can choose the projects you would like to invest in. They cover anything from environmental projects like organic farming, renewable energy and the industry and environmental technology, for example recycling, transport, water, to the social sector with services for children, the elderly, immigrants and people with health issues, but also fair trade. In the cultural sector, you can invest in education, artistic activities and tourism, always looking for the impact on a social, environmental and monetary scale. Here are some ethical banks from around the world. There are some differences between ethical banks and commercial ones. Firstly, and most importantly, traditional commercial banks have one basic goal: profit, while ethical banks combine profitability with respect for human rights and the environment. They don't invest in projects which can be harmful to society or the environment, and they operate responsibly. Another difference between them is that the investment decisions in a commercial bank are made by a financial manager, while in ethical banking they can be made by the clients. Now that you know a little bit more about the banking system and what happens with your savings, do you still see your bank in the same light? Do you still trust your bank? Just remember, you are the one who decides where your money goes. Your choice has the power to help create a new and a better world. possible with ethical investments. A small and simple action can turn into a big and generous change, and you can make this change happen. It's a new time, so think about the impact your decisions have on our world, because we are the world. Invest ethically.
Investir éthiquement.
Investeeri eetiliselt.
Investește etic.
Invest eticamente.
Etic yatırım.
Invierte eticamente.
Investiere ethisch.
Investuite eticky.
Fektes be pénzed etikusan.
You can do something great. Think practically, invest ethically.